and welcome to this week's Curator's Corner. I'm Adriana Dunn, the museum curator at the West Tennessee Delta Heritage Center. We have another very special guest joining us today. This is Christine Wunrow, and she is our educational intern. So today she's going to be walking us through everything that she's doing, and we're also going to be getting a little bit of her background and what she's doing at the university. So welcome, Christine. Thank you so much for joining us. So Christine, first off, tell us where you're from.
So I'm from around here, grown up outside of Memphis, out in the country, although I did learn a lot more about farming when I was doing work here, so
Awesome.
It's been great.
Awesome. And so you're attending the University of Memphis. Tell us a little bit about your background at the university.
Yeah, so I actually finished up my bachelor's there, then I went on to get a master's in anthropology. 2 years. I actually got to do a graduate assistantship at a museum during those 2 years.
Which museum was that?
It was the C.H. Nash Museum at Chucalissa.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So I got to do lots of things there, got lots of experience in museums. My master's project, my research project was a 300-hour internship at a museum, so more museum experience. And then now, I'm doing, these internships with museums, including yours. So.
Fantastic. So you have a lot of museum background already, and you're coming into here. So what inspired your interest in museums?
I did the museum internship, and it was wonderful. The people at Chucalissa are absolutely amazing.
Yes, yes they are.
And so I was like, okay, museums then. And then it just kind of went on from there. And every time, I've worked in museums, it's been absolutely wonderful. This included. Sometimes I hated my schoolwork, but I always loved working in museums. And I figured, well, if real life is great, then once I get out of school, I'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we do have to go through the schooling of it, but once, it's well worth it once you get to that point where you can work in a museum.
And you need it. I mean, I learned so many things I needed to know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But happy to be working in museums.
Great. So tell us a little bit about your internship here.
So I've been working with educational stuff, which is great. Making an audio tour.
Okay, and explain to us what an audio tour is.
Yeah, so the idea is that as you go throughout the museum, you can listen to someone tell you about objects. And there's lots of different ways you can do it. You can do sort of a highlights tour. You can do kind of a, here, let me tell you all the details about this that we couldn't put in the text kind of tour. So that was one of the challenges with choosing like what kind of tour, are we doing? And so, I wanted something that would make it more accessible, really, so that, people who don't want to read lots of text, which I'm guilty of too. Oh,
I can be sometimes too. Sometimes it's nice just to be read to and have that option, in a museum. So.
Yeah, and so there's that. And then there's also, people with poor vision, who can't see the objects as well, can't read the text as well.
Also guilty of.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Or like sometimes the lighting, isn't very good, and it has to be, because we're protecting the objects.
Absolutely.
But then, sometimes it makes it hard to read the text, So, there's that, and then, there's younger children who hopefully, maybe listening to audio tour is easier for them, and, if they're not as good at reading, keeps them up to speed with everything. And also, people whose first language is in English, it's much easier to not have to, like, slog through lots of text.
Definitely.
And, we can focus on using simpler verbs, simpler sentence structures, more common words so that it's easier to understand.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's incredible too. That gives it gives kind of the objects a whole new, like a storyline, and doing it in a narrative base that people can understand and just fun to listen to. So that's incredible. That's incredible. And so what was it like working with the software? Like, give some kind of, because this is kind of different technology and all that. So tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of fun. So it's not, I didn't record it, kind of a bummer, but kind of not.
Yeah, it's an automated based
voice. So they take text that you put in, and then this automatic voice reads your text. The voices are really good. I will tell you that. They are very good. We have a male and a female voice. I would write, try and write like relatively short, relatively simple, and then you know, I maybe, if it, like, I was like, okay, I wrote way too much, but I just need to get all my thoughts out, you know, then I go, I edited as short as I could think I could make it, and then the rest of the editing would be plugging it in, listening to it, well, that sounded bad, going back, editing, plugging the new edit in, and over and over, and
yeah.
It was a challenge. It was really fun.
Well, I'm sure it's come out great, and so you had to do a lot of research on the objects then, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, one of my favorite things to research really was in the farming, the cotton room. Researching the farming equipment, I would look at it and be like, okay, well, I'm assuming like it does soil and you pull it. That's about as far as I got, you know. I felt terrible. So I started researching it, and man, sometimes it's really hard to get stuff, but then I started hitting on all of these like really informative things. There were especially like forums with farmers who were using like, you know, more manual type equipment. They were so generous, they were so, you know, informative, it was so like real life. And then I also found a few articles of, you know, older men who are recalling when they were young boys and they were plowing behind the mules. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Really neat stuff.
Awesome.
So I wish I could put more of it in there, but hopefully that flavor runs through it.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. Well, that's incredible. So, so Christine's actually going to show us the audio tour that she's come up with and give us a demonstration. So we're going to go jump into the museum and do that. All right, so we are in the lobby of the museum, and Christine's actually going to give us a demonstration of her audio tour and how it works when you enter into the museum.
So we have this poster here, and it has a QR code on it that takes you to the overall tour. So if you scan it with your phone, there we go, and you follow the link, it takes you to the main tour right there. And you've got a picture of the museum and an introduction and a map and then all the tour stops.
So cool.
Right there.
All right. Well, let's go see what one of them, or we're going to give her an example of one of her audio tour QR codes that is on the object. So let's take a look. All right, so we're in the cotton room right now, and Christine is going to give us a demonstration of one of the objects on her audio tour. So I'm going to have Christine take it away.
All right, so this is our giant cotton gin model. It's got a QR code right here. You can scan this, go to that link, and it takes you right to that specific tour segment on your phone. And then, let me show you a little bit, and then you can play it and you can hear it.
This colorful model of a farm in cotton gin was handmade and painted by Daryl Cox. It is 32.
So that's pretty cool. You can either look at the overall tour, or as you're going around the museum, you know, when you see the QR codes, you can scan them and they're like, oh, on this specific object.
Which is great. So you know the objects that are on there based on the list that you get in the front in the lobby.
True,
and then once you get to the object, you have the QR code, so you scan it and it takes you right there to the audio tour. You don't have to click, click, click.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Exactly.
That's a great. Isn't technology amazing?
I know. This is a really special thing for the museum.
It really, really
has
is.
this capability.
So I know that you've done a lot of research with the objects. So what would you say would be your most favorite out of all the objects that you've been working with, and why?
That's really hard because I got to work with lots of different kinds of objects.
Yes.
You know, I had the music objects, I had the like household objects from Sleepy Donuts' house, had the farming objects. So I already talked about all the farming objects a little bit. So I guess I'm gonna have to say, in the music room, you have this Faux Fur Jacket that Elvis's wife gave to him, which is really cool. And I was looking at it and I was like, cool jacket. And then I was like, wait, what are those patches on it? So it has like patches on the front, you know, like, you know, Boy Scout patches, so they're not like, I had to cover a whole patch.
Yeah.
And they're like black and white, and they've got these obviously significant patterns on them. And I was like, what are these? So when I came to visit the museum, I took a close-up picture of them and I said, I am figuring these out. So I don't even remember how it works. Sometimes online research, you're like, I don't even know how I got here. I don't remember how I did it, but I kept researching like weird key terms and things. And I'm not gonna spoil everything because you gotta come listen to the tour. But they are karate patches.
That's really neat.
And he earned the right to wear them. So that's as much as I'm going to say. You have to come to hear the rest of the story.
Oh, man. Oh,
and I was like, no one ever told me this at all.
That's really neat.
So
well,
it is
Yeah,
fun.
I guess you're gonna have to come and actually experience the auditorium for yourself in order to see what's going on. So, and I can't wait to get back there and see what that's all about. Now, last question for today, Christine. So, what would you say the internship in its entirety and your whole experience? What would you say you gained the most out of throughout this whole internship experience?
I mean, obviously, it strengthened my research skills. I mean, I love to do research. I'm a total geek about it, as long as I'm not researching electronics, which stinks. But it helped me like learn how to stay focused. You know, when's enough, which I didn't always do right, but I'm working on it. I'm getting better. And then I also started doing some research with like genealogical material, so like contacting library archivists and like going through really old magazines. And obviously like writing. I learned so much about my writing.
Christine has written over 40 different object scripts for the audio tour, so I'd say that you're probably an expert now at like the English grammar and English language.
I can catch myself a lot faster. I'm like, whoa, that was passive voice. Don't use the like, you know, yeah. You've done a thesis on the object, and then you have to write, you know, 200 words, and you're like,
yeah,
so this is good practice.
It's great practice.
Really good.
Yeah, and you may write it as somebody who completely understands what the object is, but that doesn't mean the rest of the world does. And that's its own talent, which you've done successfully, and we're really glad to have had you here. So, well, thank you, Christine, so much for being here and working as an intern with us, and we've really appreciated all the great work that you've done. So, so thank you so much for everybody tuning in to this week's Curator's Corner, and we will see you again next week.